Hi, I'm the Scrub, and you're here for one reason.
Hey, I'm Scrub from the future.
Hi, Scrub from the
Look, I just wanted to say not to worry, you'll get this video done. It might be a bit long, but you'll get there.
But I haven't started it yet.
Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and get it started.
Okay, bye. Far out, now that I've seen his face, I know why he does voice acting. Time to learn about the world of darkness. Simplified. Tanks can aggro the 3 chimeras and pull them back towards the entrance. A short time after, there'll be 3 large AoE circles that will stay on the ground as long as a chimera is alive. If you are standing in these, you'll be inflicted with a burn debuff. The ads will perform a few attacks, but only 2 interruptible attacks are what you need to be aware of. Ram's Voice, which is a point-blank AoE from the ad's position, which will freeze anyone caught in it, and Dragon's Voice, which is a huge donut AoE that will give anyone paralysis if they get hit by it. After all 3 ads die, more ads will spawn in. Kill everything and watch out for the Hydra's conal AoE attacks and fireballs below random players. After everything has been killed, head up the stairs to the next arena. The Tank Buster is a medium-sized straight-line AoE in front of the boss, so don't stand with the tank. The ground will be covered in 2 separate tones. The area behind the boss will be darkened, and the area in front of the boss will be lightened. The buff you are given will stack and increase the damage of the same color if you stand in it, so it's best to alternate between these 2 colors whenever they appear on the ground. Then 4 hourglasses will spawn around the arena. At the same time, there will be a highlighted section which will be moving clockwise around the arena. When the last hourglass is defeated, that final section that was lit up will get a border around it. Get out of that section or risk being deleted. If you take too long to destroy the hourglasses, the boss will pick a random quarter to have a border, then stun and kill everyone in that section. During the fight, the boss will initiate a staring contest. Ignore it and turn your character away. If you don't do this, you'll be inflicted with Doom, which will instantly kill you when the debuff expires. To cleanse the Doom, you'll need to run into the small lit up circle on the ground. A random player in the raid will be binded and targeted with either an orange or purple orb with a medium-sized circle around them. Every other player in the circle will be tethered to the binded player. For the orange circle, if the number of players in the circle is an even number, it will afflict everyone in the circle with a suppuration debuff, which decreases your max health and increases your damage taken. And for the purple circle, if the number of players in the circle is divisible by 3, everyone in the circle will come down with a sudden case of death. For either case, just run out of the colored circle to break the tether. When the ads spawn, nuke them quickly as they can cause paralysis on room-wide AoEs. Mechanics will repeat until the boss has been defeated. Head up the ramp. Make sure you interrupt Sayala's slow casting move. It is the big room-wide AoE if you don't. Then 3 portals will spawn on each side of the arena and start casting Void Call. Burn these down as fast as possible. If they finish their cast, they will spawn an ad which will need to be dealt with. When you defeat Sayala, interact with the coffer in the middle of the room. Zand will pop out and do the exact same mechanics. Defeat Zand in the portals. Head up the stairs to the next arena. The main tank can drag the 5-headed dragon to the far side of the arena and face it away from the party, as not only do the auto attacks cleave, but there is a huge conal AoE called White Breath which targets the main tank. If you get hit by this move, you'll be inflicted with the debuff Infirmity, which reduces the potency of heals cast on you. A player in the alliance will have a stack marker, grouped together to absorb the damage. Black circles will appear on the ground. When these go off, they will spawn large white orbs. Destroy them. If you don't, they explode in a very hard-hitting raid wide. When a white swirling circle appears on the ground, this will turn into an ice patch which will slowly grow in size. If you get caught in the ice patch, it will freeze you and render you unable to do anything. If a player gets targeted with these yellow gears above their head, they need to move as far away from the rest of the group as possible. After a short time, the player and anyone else around the player in a fairly large radius will be knocked up into the air and given a vulnerability up debuff. When a poison puddle appears on the ground, slimes will start to spawn. If you kill a small slime, it will explode and everyone around the slime will be hit with a poison resistance buff. To stop the slime spawning in, someone with a poison resistance buff will need to stand in the poison puddle. If you ignore the puddle, a giant slime will spawn in, explode, and inflict a debuff silence to everyone in the raid. When a wispy red AoE circle appears on the ground, this will go off and spawn a small firebird that will tether itself to the closest player with a debuff prey. Every few seconds, the bird will damage the player and give them a stacking debuff of suppuration, which reduces max health and increases damage taken. To avoid death, you need to pass this tether to someone else. You do this by running through another player or have another player run through you. When this happens, you will gain the debuff of slippery prey and you'll be unable to grab any tether for 30 seconds. When the dragon gets under 70%, he will start slow casting Discordance. All dragon heads will become targetable. The more heads that are alive, the harder the move will hit for. Quickly destroy the 4 dragon heads to severely weaken Discordance. After Discordance goes out, the dragon will repeat mechanics until it's defeated. Head up the ramp. Players will walk over separate small boost pads in these directions to be taken to their alliance's platform. The Atmos will target a player with crosshairs. After a few seconds, the Atmos will turn to that player and inhale anyone in that direction. It will then turn to a random direction and spit everyone out. To avoid this, the rest of your party will need to move away from the targeted player and that player will just jump off the raised platform. If the circles on your raised platform light up, someone in another alliance is on a lower platform. Run over the lit up circle so the other alliances can jump back up to their fight. If all 24 players have been knocked off the platforms, everyone will instantly wipe. Shockwave is a huge knockback from the Atomos. Stand right underneath it to not be knocked off the platform or use your knockback prevention skill. There will be an ad that spawns in which will also spawn a disc. The disc can be a pain, so watch out for it. When the ad has been defeated, the disc will also disappear. The Atomos will repeat mechanics until the bar of Atomos Prime, which is indicated here, has reached 0. Walk over the small boost pads to launch you to the stairs to the next area. Cerberus's auto attacks and Tank Buster are cleaves, so don't stand with the tank. He will quickly cast Tail Blow, which is a conal AoE behind him, which will inflict a stack of blunt resistance down if you get hit by it. Cerberus will then break his chains and target a player with crosshairs. This player will get a purple orb put on them. Everyone needs to stay away from this orb and do not destroy it. Cerberus will then target another player and create a puddle of goo on the ground. If you overlap these AoEs, it can be very detrimental to the raid. All of the DPS will now need to stand in the gastric juice, which will burst and minimize all the players in it. All minimized players will then stand in the purple goo. This will stun them, Cerberus will eat them, and they'll be transported to his stomach. If you are still big and step into the purple goo, instead of eating you, Cerberus will instantly kill you. If you are inside his stomach, you'll need to burn down all of the stomach walls. You can ignore the unknown ads because they won't do anything. If you're outside of his stomach, an off-tank will need to pick up the wolf's bane that will spawn from the purple goo. If you defeat that ad, another one will spawn in. After everything in the stomach has been defeated, Cerberus will slump to the ground in pain, and the DPS will return to the arena. Two players will need to interact with the chain pillars at the far end of the arena. You'll need to carry this chain and interact with the open fetter, which is on the side of Cerberus. If you don't do the stomach or the chains in time, Cerberus will immediately gain 16 stacks of damage up and slowly wipe the raid. Once the chains are attached to Cerberus, he will wake up and continue the fight. Electrical orbs will spawn on random players. They will target other players in the alliance with narrow straight line AoEs. If you get hit by this, it will give you the dot tick electrocution. Cerberus will normally turn to the furthest player away and cast Hound Out of Hell. It will gap close to the other side of the arena in a straight line and damage anyone in the way. To avoid this, just move to the side of where Cerberus is facing. Cerberus can turn to a random player and cast Sulphurous Breath, which is a triple straight line AoE and easily dodgeable. Ululation will target everyone it damages with a Wispy Spear and the debuff Abandonment. You will need to stand with a party member when the debuff timer expires. If you don't do this, you will lose control of your character with Hysteria for 15 seconds. Cerberus will repeat these mechanics until it's defeated. Then head up the stairs to be transported to the final boss. The main tank will be hit with a hard-hitting auto attack which will cause a bleeding debuff. Healers be aware you'll need to manage this. One player will be targeted with an AoE below them with a pulsating arrow at their back. This is called a tracking AoE. There will be a hard-hitting beam that will give you a vulnerability up for every hit. To avoid this, the player will run around the outside of the arena. After a few seconds, the beams will cease and the player can return to the party. At points, the cloud can disappear from her spot and reappear on a different point in the arena. Wherever she reappears at, you'll need to move to the side of the arena relative to her as she will cast a large straight line AoE through the middle of the arena which will give anyone caught in it a vuln stack. Meteors will start descending to 5 circles on the ground. At least one player must stand in these circles to absorb the damage. A huge room-wide AoE will go out for every circle missed. Following this, the boss will light up the arena, create physical and magical health shields on itself, and spawn in clouds at the other end of the arena which will start floating to the boss. If the boss consumes enough clouds, the raid will wipe. To slow the clouds down, you'll need to stand in their way and the clouds will be inflicted with the debuff Heavy, which can make them easier to DPS down. The circle meteors will also appear in this phase. After all the clouds are defeated, you can continue smacking the boss. The boss will then perform a room-wide AoE, return the arena to normal, and disappear. 3 hexagon outlines will appear on the ground with a cloud in the middle of each shape. Alliances should split into their groups and quickly DPS their ad down, which won't take long at all. The boss will then reappear at a random point on the edge of the arena and perform the straight line AoE again, so move to the side of the arena relative to her. It's at this point that one of every alliance's DPS should use their limit break. The boss shouldn't have a lot of health from here, so you can burn her down and ignore the rest of her mechanics. Congratulations, you have beaten World of Darkness. My name is The Scrub. Thank you for watching.